Okay, what's up, everybody? This is Leroy here at Audio Camp at Shaman Studio in Bordeaux, France. Today we're going to mix a song that, actually a nice song. It's a young lady singing. It's kind of like in the trap, hip-hop type of style. And it's a small track. You know, the song is called Ear Fan. And just take a look at it. You can see right here we have a beat, left and right stereo part, and then we have some production on beat 2 and left and right, and you can see it right here. It only happens once in the song. There's a lead vocal, a background vocal, and then we have a small little background vocal right here called BK2, basically probably some harmony thing. And then right here at the end, we have 2 tracks called FX1 and FX2. Those are vocal track 2, but with some production. Okay, so let's take a listen to it real quick and get an idea of what we're working with. Okay, so that's kind of nice. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set up our mix bus. And the mix bus basically is to protect it from mastering, you know, and to prepare it for to get a really nice clean sound with the mix in general. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use the UAD Fairchild. And we're just going to use the threshold and set that down to 1 because we don't really want this to compress. We actually just want this to have the tone of that particular compressor. So, and it also creates the analog feel too. Our next plugin will be the UAD Neve 33609. And this is actually going to do most of the compression for us. So the first thing we need to do is look at the way it's made. There's a limiter and a compressor. We will not use the limiter at all. We're just going to focus on the compressor. This is a stereo compressor. So the compressors must be locked, should be in. The ratio is the next thing that we're concerned with. We want to put 1.5, which is great for mix bus or for mastering. Don't touch the gain. The recovery time is at 100. And the threshold, we don't know what that is yet until we start the beat. Okay, so and our next plugin will be the Brainwork EQ, and this is the digital V2. This is also made by UAD. Okay, so we're going to do a few things on this one. First, the concept is this is the mono. When you select solo M, you can hear everything in the middle, like the vocal, the snare, or the bass. And then over here, if you solo the S, that's the stereo section. And you will hear what's happening on the left side and the right side of the mix. And so you can actually hear it and focus on it and see what kind of EQ settings you might need. So we're going to start off with our basic EQ. We're going to go to the low mid frequency on the mono section, and we're going to boost that 0.6 dB. Now we're going to actually go to the stereo section, and we're going to do the same thing, the low mid frequency, but it's 160. We're going to boost that 0.6 dB. And then the high frequency is at 6 kilohertz. We're going to boost that 1.6 dB. And that should do it. But just make sure that you don't have any of the solo buttons activated because that will confuse you later on in the mix. And finally, on the EQ section, we have the Pultec EQ, UAD Pultec. And we're going to select the low frequency and the high frequency, and we're going to boost certain frequencies here. So at 100, we're going to boost at 3.5. The bandwidth would be 7.5. And the high frequency at 10 kilohertz would be boost 4.5. And that's it for that. So, and finally, we're going to put a limiter, and we're going to use the Fabfilter Pro L2. limiter. And so all you have to do over here is go to this little box here and you will see this little knob and then turn that to 0.02 and that should do it. So that's your mix bus. And it's important to do your mix bus before you start mixing. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a beat. It's a playback. And my first major concern is this a wave? So it's a good quality. But if not, I'm hoping that it's a MP3 that's a good quality because it could be a terrible MP3. But this particular beat sounds pretty good. So I'm not concerned about that anymore. So you can see there's a beat 1, left and right, the stereo. And then we also have a beat 2, left and right, which beat 2 has just some little production that somebody must have created there. Okay. Now they're all grouped going to a beat mix bus over here. And over here, we're going to put some EQ on it, but just take a listen to it first. Okay, so this is a typical track that we have to respect the low end, but I'm actually going to boost it like at 60 hertz where that kick drum is kicking in at. I'm going to boost it just a little bit, like 1.60. And let's take a listen to it with the EQ. This is the Fabfilter Q. Okay, so you can see we just add a little touch. We're not going to do anything extreme over there. And because it's going through the master bus anyway, which has some EQs in that's included. So let's continue. Okay, so let's take a listen to the lead vocal track and see what we got here.
Late night walk, late night thoughts, lonely hearts like mine.
Okay, so she's singing very intimate and very soft, and I watched her doing the performance. She was very shy, but for some reason I like what she did. I like the S sound, and I like some of those low end tones that she's using. I'm really kind of happy about it. So let's take a look at what we need to do. So if you go up here, the first thing that we did was on the channel strip, we actually tuned our voice. And we're going to use the Wave Tune Real Time by Waves. This is mono because our voice is in mono. So let's take a listen to that. Cut that on. And the song is in F sharp minor.
Late night walk, late night thoughts.
Okay, so she's not really out of tune, but that's just to make sure everything's okay. So our next plugin that we're going to use will be the de-esser by Waves also. And we're going to load in the female S. And that's going to change the frequency to 6 kilohertz. And we're just going to find a compressor, the threshold here. We're going to try to get it to 6, in between 3 and 6 dB of gain reduction. But I like to be careful with this one because I like the S sound in her voice. So sometimes it's not good to put a lot of de-essing on something. Sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes something intimate and sweet like she's trying to perform, we need to preserve some of the S sound. So let's take a listen to that.
Late night walk,
so we want to be careful with that.
Late night thoughts, lonely hearts like mine.
Okay, so we're going to stop there. So you can see that's at 57, but maybe I might let that go a little, work on that a little later too. All right, so for the EQ for her voice, what we did was we took out 158 hertz, and then here in the boxy sound at 456, we took 3 dB out. And then right here where she's clear at almost 6 kilohertz, we boost at 2.66. Okay, so let's take a listen to it without the EQ.
Late night walk,
with the EQ.
Late night thoughts.
So that's going to cut through the mix really good. So let's listen to it with the music.
Late night walk,
Without.
late night thoughts.
Okay, so you're probably wondering that's pretty low, but we're going to fix the levels later on with the compressor. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the J37 tape machine, and that just adds some saturation right there at 1, and that's the only thing that we did. This also helps us create the analog feel. And then finally, cut that on, we're going to add the UAD LA2A. This is one of the most famous vocal compressor out there in the business. And we're going to try to get our voice to compress to about 7 dB, in between 5 and 7. And then we're going to adjust our levels from the gain. So let's take a look at that.
Late night walk, late night thoughts, lonely hearts like mine.
Just see this loud part here and see what happens.
Sober side of my, I'm just passing by.
All right, so that sounds pretty good there. We're going to stop there. And now what we're going to do is bring in the music so we can adjust the level. All right, so we're going to stop right there. That sounds pretty good. I'm going to still adjust these things as we go. So let's continue. We're going to go to the effects now. Okay, so we're going to need some reverb and some other effects. So we're going to create 5 auxiliary tracks. And they are stereo, of course. We first have one called Exciter. The second one is a reverb. The third one is a doubler. The fourth one is a delay. And the last one is a ducking delay. So let's take a look at the Exciter. So just cut that on. And you can see that the synth is complete. And you can just use your channel strip to get the levels that you like. So let's take a look at the Exciter. This is the Aphex Vintage Exciter. It's made by the Waves bundle. You click over here and you go to vocals, and we're going to use upfront female voice. And that's it. Now we just need to blend that in, and then we'll stop when we think it's okay. Now this thing sounds like a compressor, and it's part of the EQ family too. So you have to stop, and normally it's not as loud as the direct lead track. So let's do that.
I'm just passing by.
That's too loud.
No, I won't bother you.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. We're going to leave it there. So the next thing we need is the reverb, of course. So let's cut the reverb on, and the reverb is here. It's at, what's that? Negative 4.9. The reason why I got levels on that is because we're going to, some other tracks are going to share the same reverb. Okay, so the reverb here is, the first thing we're going to do is choose our reverb. Our reverb will be the UAD EMT 140. The plate is chosen at A. The reverb time, I click on this button right here and you can move it around, and I got it under 2. And then over here, the pre-delay, I just put, if that's 50, I guess that's 25. So let's take a look at that. That should do that. And then we EQ'd it, the reverb. We're using the Logic EQ. We have a filter right there at 172 hertz, 24 dB. Q is 75. Over here, we have a little bit of cut in the mids at 376. The cut is negative 3.5 and the Q is 30. Over here, we have a little boost at 3560 and the Q is 20. Oh, sorry. It's 3760 and the boost is 1.5. The Q is 1. Okay, so let's take a listen to the reverb. Same thing, I'm going to blend it in until it sounds right.
Oh my, I'm just passing by. No, I won't
Okay, so that sounds nice. And the next thing we're going to do is use the doubler. The doubler is completely at max. And we're going to EQ that doubler. It's basically the same EQ as the lead vocal channel. So the cut is at 158, 12 dB. Didn't touch the Q. At 456 hertz, that cut is 3 dB. The Q is 1. That's a boost at 5.823. And that boost is 2.66. The Q is at 1. And the next thing is we're going to use the Microshift, which is one of my favorite ones. This is Soundtoys Microshift, and I'm going to use it at 3. So let's take a listen to that. Oh, one thing. The doubler can be used in an effect, or it can be just used to make stereo imaging. So let's take a listen to that.
Oh my, I'm just passing by.
So that's more like an effect.
No, I won't bother you. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going through there.
Okay, so that's a doubler, and that makes the background, the lead vocal wider. So the next thing is we're going to put the reverb, the delay, and this is the H delay by Waves, and we're going to put on Lo-Fi. The high pass filter is at 254, and the other filter will be at 6.7, and I'm going to use 1/8 and make sure the time is matched with the tempo, 115, and then I'm going to kill the analog right here. So this is what we got now. Let's cut that on. It's at 100% too.
Oh my, I'm just passing by. No, I won't bother you.
So you hear it like that. This very small amount. It's just to be way back there in the mix, okay? So now the delay that we will hear will be the Echoboy right here. So we're gonna go here and choose from there, clean ping pong. It's in the lead section. And you can go and you can choose 1.4. You want quarter notes on this. And we just changed the low pass a little bit right there. And make sure the tempo is correct. But the next thing that we need a compressor to sidechain this with. And we're going to use the R compressor by Waves. You have to go here to side and you have to choose the lead vocal. That's synchronize the compressor with the vocals. The threshold is at negative 30.8. Ratio is here at 100 here, and the gain hasn't been touched. The attack is 0.50. The release is 164, and that should work. So listen to this.
Oh my, I'm just passing by. No, I won't bother you. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going through things. Can't say it out loud. So I shut it down and I cry inside, having a sleepless night. Gotta walk away.
Okay, so that's kind of nice. Those are your effects. Now, don't forget you got to adjust all of these as you go on, and make sure they work good with the lead vocal and the music. So let's continue. Okay, so we got a few background vocals that happens sometime in the song. Background 1 is called BK1. Is actually more in the song, as you can see there. And then there's another one called background 2, and background 2 only happens late in the song. Let's take a listen to background 1. And let's listen to background 2.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night.
Okay, so we're going to do a few things on these two vocals. The first one is background 1. What we're going to do here is actually tuner first, and that'll be F sharp minor. And that's all we need to do with that. And the next thing we're going to do is the de-esser. And I got the de-esser, the same thing, the female S. And I got the threshold at 4 44.5. And let's cut that on. And then we have Ozone, and this time we're going to EQ our voice a little different than we did with the actual lead. So here we have a filter at 147 hertz, 12 dB. We have some of the boxy sound at 450, that's 3 dB negative, and the Q is 3. There's a boosty at 2004 hertz, it's 1.1 dB, the Q is 1.8. Here at 5130, the gain is 1.4, the Q is 3, and then over here at 8 kilohertz, we boost that 1 dB. So let's put that on. And then we did the same thing. We had the tape machine by waves at J37, saturation is at 1. And we did the same thing. We add then the LA2A by UAD, and that will compress the vocals and also the gain. So let's listen to that now with the lead vocal.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk.
Okay, so just a small bit of compression. It got to about 3 dB. The gain is at 50, and that's because we don't want it as loud as the lead, but the panning also is at 22. It's not straight in the middle. The final thing that we're going to do on this track, we're going to add in the reverb, and the reverb here this time will be at a negative 9.8. So it's just a little less than the reverb on the lead vocals, and that's the final thing. So let's listen to it. You should hear just a small amount.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk.
Okay, so that's nice. And the next thing is BK2. We're actually going to cut this on. We're going to use the auto-tune. So just mute a few things so you can hear that really good. The auto-tune setting on this is at 50 tracking, pitch correction controls. They're all at 0. And the key is F sharp minor. And the over here, the shape that we have the rate at 5.5, 500 on the delay, 20 and 50, 18, 10, and 70. Basically, I don't even touch those, okay? And let's see how that works with her vocal on the second vocal.
Walking, sleep talking, late night.
Okay, so now, to be honest, you don't have to do that, but we're just going to do this for fun and see if it works. But we're going to also put the telephone effect on that particular voice. So how we did that was we took 417 hertz, 24 dB, that's the filter. There's a boost here in the mids at 1330. The boost is 4.5, the Q is 7. And our final thing that we have here is at 4 kilohertz, we removed that. That's 20 dB, 24 dB. So now we should have this. So listen to that.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. Got that going. And then we have the Devil-Locs to add a little bit of distortion there. So we cut that on. This is Soundtoys. And we have the Crush at 2 and the other one at 1. So let's listen.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night.
So that gives us a little dirty sound right there. You can also bring in the delay if you want. But we're going to leave it off for right now. So let's put that there and here. Take a listen to them. Also, BK2 is panned to the right at 28.
Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk.
Okay, so that's nice. So let's continue. Okay, so in this particular song, we have a few little tracks. One is called FX1 and FX2. These are both vocal tracks, but some production already done to them. Like one is going reverse and the other one is just a duplication of part of the lead vocal. Okay, so let's take a listen to them in a natural state.
Gotta free my mind.
Okay, so listen to number 1 by itself.
Gotta free my mind.
Okay, so you get the picture how both of these are going. So they're both, one is paying that Aphex 1 is paying to the left at 39, and Aphex 2 is just at 12 to the right. And let's see what we did to them. So number 1, what we did was we just EQ'd it. We didn't do anything else. So you got a cut here at 414 hertz at negative 2.18 dB, and the Q is not touched at all. And over here at 4 kilohertz, we boost that 2.37. The Q is just 1. And this is the result of that.
Gotta free my mind.
Okay, so that just clears it up in the mix, and now we just need to adjust the levels. And the next thing is on the right, effects number 2, we got more production on it. So we have the telephone effect like we had on the other track. And let's take a look at that. You can see here at 417 hertz, that's been removed. There's a boost at 1330, 4.5 dB. The Q is 7. And over here at this filter is at 4 kilohertz, that's been removed, 24. Okay. The next thing that we did was to put the Devil-Locs on again, and it's basically the same as before. It's on 2 and on 1, and let's cut that on, and that's going to give us a little bit of distortion. Now, we also can use the Microshift. Let's take the doubler, and let's put that on and take a listen to that now.
Gotta free my mind. Gotta free my mind.
So without the production.
Gotta free my mind.
Okay. So now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put the another effect, and that would be the Nectar effects. We're going to leave the pitch and the EQ and the compressor, and we're just going to work on the harmony. And we do first is we need to make sure that we're in the right key. So select that, and this is F sharp minor. Go back to it, so that's okay now. And we're going to put a third here. That's the third note of the scale. You got to know a little bit of music theory about this. We're going to put the 7. We're going to bring that up a little bit. And both of these are on the right side, as you can see. And then we're going to have the 7 again on the left side, but actually a little louder and more in the center. And then we're going to have the second note over here. And we're going to get this thing now. Oh, one other thing. We're going to do the filter right here. As you can see, it's at 338, just to get rid of a little bit of bass. So let's listen to that now.
Gotta free my mind.
And you can move these around a little bit
Free my mind.
till you like what they did.
Gotta free my mind. Gotta free my mind.
Okay, so let's listen to these parts
Gotta free my mind.
of the song.
Gotta free my mind.
Nice. So a little bit before and a little bit after.
Say that loud. So I shut it down and I cry inside, having a sleepless night. Gotta walk away, gotta walk away, gotta free my mind, gotta free my mind. Line walking.
So that's nice. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so that was a lot of fun. Pretty much some interesting stuff. You know, what you could do is you can take the Devil-Locs off, the Microshift off if you want, the Nectar off. You can take the telephone effect off. You can mess around with all of this. Don't forget you need some automation on this also. But in general, this is a good start and lots of fun to mix. So let's take a listen to it. Don't forget, watch videos. We got other videos on vocal treatment, like with vocal simps and harmony machines, et cetera, and different type of compressors. But you need to always do research and just keep mixing. So I see you guys soon. I'm going to leave you with the song. Later.
Late night walk, late night thoughts, lonely hurts like mine. Drunk or sober, sad or mad, I'm just passing by. No, I won't bother you. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going through things. Can't say it out loud, so I shut it down and I cry inside, having a sleepless night. Gotta walk away, gotta walk away, gotta free my mind, gotta free my mind. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night. Blind walking, I don't even see anything. Just a blend of lights and colors, like green, yellow, then red, mellow. It was in my ears, yeah, vibing away, sudden fresh vibe. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk. Blind walking, sleep talking, late night walk. C'est pas fini, c'est pas fini. L'impression de tomber dans le vide. Si c'était vraiment la fin, la fin, la fin. J'ai pleuré, j'ai crié, j'ai saigné. Matin, midi et soir, je ne cherche que la paix. J'ai pleuré, j'ai crié, j'ai saigné. Matin, midi, soir, je ne cherche que la paix. Je ne cherche que la paix.